Okay, reading passage 2, gifted children and learning. So let's see what we've got here. Matching these paragraphs, matching statements, and some kind of gap fill, complete the sentence. Quite a very common combination of these three question types together. I just did Cambridge 13, and there's a lot of this in Cambridge 13, especially for reading 2 and reading 3. These three question types together, matching the paragraphs with matching the statements, and then some kind of gap fill. While I'm looking at this, you must always the first thing you must do is just make sure you see it's matching the statement with the person. So that's nice. We will be able to do that later. But anyway, what's important is go to this first. Easy ones first, and then maybe even, as we saw in Cambridge 13, a lot of the time information that is in here helps us, or that is in here will help us with these ones. These are the most difficult ones, 14 to 17. So let's start with the gap fill first. Let's find where they come from. A study, a connection, IQ, definitely IQ, and the availability of. So let's find IQ and a study. Average ability, direction from teachers, maybe teachers. Metacognition, definitely that. That's like a new scientific term, so they can't paraphrase this. There's no synonym. Learning strategies, children maybe, but children can paraphrase. Teachers, impressive grades in class tests. Right. So let's see, where's IQ? I think this is the best thing to start with, this IQ thing. Let's see, maybe IQ is everywhere, maybe it's just one paragraph. So immediately we can see IQ everywhere here. I don't see it there. I don't see it there anywhere else. So definitely we're going to start, there's IQ again there, but of course they're not going to start there. So that's quite good news. It means we're starting at the beginning. What else? A study, a connection, IQ, and something of something at home. I forgot, I didn't see that. A study, IQ, and at home. So there's a study. You can see that immediately. This is the study. I don't see anything about, there's home there. But the important thing here is this sentence continues to describe the study. It's very easy for them to catch you and you're looking at that sentence, but home is again over there. So this is just something to remember. It's unfortunate. Most of the time you find the target sentence quite quickly, but I don't think this is the target sentence. I actually think it's probably this. Anyway, we'll look at that later. Children of average ability, direction from teachers, because they do not have. Now this is very important. When you see a negative, really focus on the negative, because the negatives are quite uncommon. So you're going to have to find some kind of a negative in the text. Anyway, we're looking for average ability and teachers. And after some scanning, I saw it over there. Where's teachers? And teacher is there. So that's good enough for me. Immediately I can see metacognition over there. So that's good news. We're looking for metacognition and learning strategies. So here they introduce metacognition. Very nice. And there's strategies. That's great. There's metacognition again. So make sure, especially with reading 2 and 3, don't find the one and then stop. Continue, because they know that you're doing it and they're trying to trick you that way. Continue to scan a little bit further. Teachers, what is known as, this is also super important structural language. I'll talk about that later. Sets of impressive grades in class tests. Tests is probably the best thing there. Teachers and tests. Often what IELTS does now is they go right to the end, but let's see if they've done that. There's teachers, teachers. Examination maybe. I think that's where it is. Somewhere around there. Okay. Right, so let's just get started. This is a strange one. We need 2 answers. So more often than not, like 95% of the time, it's going to have this exact structure in the text. It'll be A and B. So we are looking for that, but not always. I wish I could say always, but it's IELTS, so you can never say always. at home. So a connection between their IQ and the availability of something and something at home. So the study, there's the positive relationship, the connection. I don't see something and something. The higher the scores, the better the quality measured in terms of number of books and activities in their home. Can you see that? Something and something. And there it is over there. When you see it, you know that you have it. But I think a lot of students would have been stopped there. That's the problem with this. But it's definitely books and activities, because home is right there. It's one of those ones that when you see it, you know that you have it. Right. Children seem to need more direction from teachers because they do not have. And we want that negative. What don't these children have? Compared with the average ability of older pupils for whom external regulation by the teacher often compensates for lack of internal regulation. And this is metacognition. This is the next one. So it's not going to be this sentence. It's this sentence over there. So now, pause the video. Can you see the negative in that sentence? They do not have what? It's actually a slightly more difficult negative. It's a vocabulary negative, not a grammar negative. And there it is over there. They lack something. That's the negative. As you should have seen by now, this whole positive feeling or negative feeling is a very good tool for you. So what do they lack? They do not have. They lack. And there's your answer over there. Internal regulation. So the negative gave you that. Metacognition involves children understanding their own learning strategies that might be important, as well as that could be important, developing something. Understanding their own learning as well as, I think this is important, as well as developing something. So here's metacognition, which will include strategies, their own strategies of planning, monitoring, evaluation, and choice of what to learn. But there's your answer there. The as well as is right there. That's the also. Emotional awareness is also part of metacognition. This is all the children's own strategies given by that word over there. And then this is the as well as. So your answer is emotional awareness. This is a good one to show you how this structural language in these sentences can often help you. And one of my favorite examples of structural language is this is known as. We've seen it in other tests. Introducing a new term. Let me go and find that old document. This document over here, we haven't looked at it for a while. I think I did it in Cambridge 12, but it's very good. This point that I've made many times before, when they say is known as, is called, is termed, refers to, and this possibly to introduce new terms. I actually want to add something here. Also the punctuation. Punctuation to introduce new terms. Inverted commas, it's these things, and dashes. For example, let's look at that metacognition. Metacognition, they introduced a new term and they put it in between dashes. They didn't say known as, referred to. They just put it in between these two dashes. It's another way of introducing a new term. And remember, when IELTS introduces a new term, like a technical term or a scientific term, they love to answer questions, to ask questions about that. So we're looking for another new term, because here they say something that is known as, a new term, a technical term, an unfamiliar term. And in this example, they've used the inverted commas over there. Spoon feeding can produce extremely high examination results. They've made it very difficult. This is actually quite a difficult one, number 26, because they put teachers there, but teachers is not in the sentence. Produce sets of impressive grades in class tests, high examination results. What is known as? And the is known as tells you you're looking for some kind of new term. So I can't stress enough how important these new terms are that IELTS introduces. You don't need to put the inverted commas there. You can if you want, not serious. Actually, let me just delete them just so that I don't confuse you. Anyway, not too bad. I think number 26 was quite difficult because teachers wasn't there. But this is a very good question set to explain how the structural language in the sentence, do not, as well as, is known as, helps you with answers. It's high level stuff, but it can help you if you understand it. Okay, look at the following statement. Statement with the correct person or people. They just say or people because there's two over there. Right. So you're not going to scan for this. This is going to be the paraphrase. This is what you're going to scan for, the names. Let's find those names. Freeman, Shaw and Kanevsky, Elshout, Summerton, Bookerts. Freeman is there. Keep on scanning. Sometimes they mention it twice in the text, so you need to be careful if it's mentioned again. Shaw and Kanevsky, Elshout, Summerton and Bookerts. Great. So it's probably just going to be one sentence that we're looking at. Then the way to do it is look at Freeman, look what he said, and then come back here and see which one it matches. So what does Freeman say? This is the sentence. It might be this whole thing. So that looks a little bit long. I actually want to find a short one. So let's skip that. I might come back to that later. What does these guys say? So there is a colon. You don't have to look at any of this. This is just supporting language. You need to look at what did they say, and that's in inverted commas over here. So that's quite short. If they, the gifted children, think quickly, then we only need to teach more quickly. If they make fewer errors, less mistakes, then we can shorten the practice. Less time can be spent on exercises with gifted pupils who produce accurate work. That gives it away for me. They've paraphrased quite a lot here. It's a strong paraphrase, but this accurate means less mistakes. So I like this one. Self-reliance, valuable tool, reach their goals. Self-reliance. I don't see anything here about self-reliance. Channel their feelings. I didn't see anything about feelings. Support from close relatives. I didn't see. Learnt a considerable amount about their subject. No, so it's definitely this one. Less time can be spent on exercises with gifted pupils who produce accurate work. It's this sentence over here. If they make fewer errors, if they produce accurate work, then we can spend less time on the exercises, shorten the practice. It's a difficult paraphrase, I think, but definitely that one is Shaw and Kanevsky. Be careful. I almost said it was A because we haven't done A, but it's Shaw and Kanevsky, so B. Right, self-reliance. No. Now we go to Elshout. Blah, 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 blah. Up to the colon, you don't need it. This is what they say. Individuals who know a great deal about a specific domain will achieve at a higher level than those who do not. So if you know about something, you will achieve at a higher level. Self-reliance, valuable tool, no. Know how to channel their feelings, no. Benefits close relatives, no. Really successful students learnt a considerable amount about their subject. So really successful students achieve at a higher level, and the main thing is learnt a considerable amount about their subject. Here they use the word domain. Know a great deal about a specific domain. Know a great deal and learnt a considerable amount. That was the key. Domain, you don't know what it is, don't worry, you need to just guess that it means subject. So I'm quite happy that Elshout, who was that? Yeah, Elshout is 22. C. Right, what does Simonton say? Again, just to one sentence. Brought him to the conclusion that. So there's your that. You don't need anything before. You just start looking over here. But actually, it's a long sentence. Okay, let's look at it. Above a certain high level, characteristics such as independence contribute to reaching higher levels than intellectual skills. contribute more. So independence, more important than intellectual skills because of effort and time. Independence, more important than intellectual skills. Self-reliance, that means independence. Valuable tool, helps them reach their goals. How to channel their feelings. Close relatives. So it's definitely not 21, but it's not about feelings. This word self-reliance and independence. You rely on yourself, you depend on yourself. Rely and depend are very good synonyms that you must remember. So I would definitely go with that. 19 is Simonton. Gifted. Okay, now Simonton Boekerts. What did Boekerts say? She found. This should be a that. Oh, she found. What did she find? Something over here. She found emotional forces in harness. Not only curious, desire to control the environment, but it's actually just there. She found emotional forces in harness. I remember feelings. Channel means to harness, but emotion and feelings. So that one was quite straightforward, and that one was Boekert's E. And that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This must be very important to notice. They did not say NB, you can use any letter more than once. That means we only use it once. That means this one must be A, but we can just check. The close relatives is what we want to find. Support from close relatives. And we're just looking for some close relatives. Can you see the close relatives? And there's the close relatives, the parents. So it was actually in the sentence after. Alright, so that was A. It wasn't too bad. The paraphrase was very difficult. They used some very difficult paraphrase and synonyms. But if you went through it, you could delete the ones that it were definitely not there. Not too bad. Right, now on to the difficult one. First, we want to see if any of this information or this information can help us. A reference to the influence of the domestic background on the gifted child. Now, I haven't even read it, but domestic background. Support from close relatives. At home. This is the main key. At home, domestic background. So immediately I know these other answers have given us the answer for this one. This is up here, this first paragraph. They talk about the domestic background at home. And then you don't even need to look at the other paragraphs because it's definitely that one. Let's just check the influence of the domestic background. And that's this positive relationship. The higher this, the better of their internet educational backup. So that was pretty straightforward. Reference to what can be lost if learners are given too much guidance. I don't remember anything. Damaging effects of anxiety. I don't remember anything. Classroom techniques which favor socially disadvantaged. No. So now we need to scan. I like anxiety. It's a good one to scan for. Socially disadvantaged is a good one to scan for. I would scan for those. Now we've actually used all of these paragraphs. We used F, we used E, D, so there's none that they have not used, so we can't really start there, but so there's no other way. You just got to scan for something about socially disadvantaged, something about anxiety. And I can't tell you anything to do except just scan. Where to start? Maybe you can start here and go backwards. It's often a good idea to just trick IELTS. They will try and trick you because they know you're going to be scanning. But sometimes yes, sometimes no. So it's just up to you. And here it's just high-speed scanning. We want anxiety. We want socially disadvantaged. And this was actually very, very difficult. I'll just tell you where they are. These are the Band 8, Band 9 questions, these three. So you would want to spend a bit of time on them. Don't spend too much time on them. Have a guess at some point if you can't find them. Maybe we can find too much guidance. And what can be lost? Anyway, Socially disadvantaged children was their children from deprived areas. Deprived means they don't have a lot. So really super difficult. That means that 17 was paragraph D. Damaging effects of anxiety, I couldn't find. And eventually I found, I was looking for stress, because stress and anxiety are synonyms, but it's actually fear. Fear and anxiety can also be synonyms. So that, again, really difficult, which made that one F. There's no easy way to do this. It was just scanning for the synonyms. What can be lost if they're given too much guidance? And that's over there. Too much dependence on the teachers risks loss of these two things. So unfortunately, really, there's no easy way to do that. You just needed to scan and scan and scan with the remaining time, and then if you didn't have the time, guess and move on. We couldn't even guess the paragraphs that we didn't use because we used all the paragraphs. So if you got 11, 10 out of 13 there, that was pretty good. It was all fairly easy until we got to these three, and then it just became really difficult. Right, let's move on to reading 3.